Adi Gopijana Ballabha Girivardhari Gopijana Ballabha Girivardhari Gopijana Ballabha Girivardhari Gopijana Ballabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamuna Tiravana Jadi Jamuna Tiravana Jadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivijagacharya Astatara Satsasi Srimad. His Divine Grace is the Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavadinda Ki Gaur Premanandi. There's the verse 4:7:15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Typo. Naram Shaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayamudirayat. 4:7:15. Yo samaya dvita tattva sabhayam. Shipto darukti vishikair. What's this? Not the right meter. Shipto darukti vishikair vignaya tanman. Avakpatatam arhatatma nidhayapad. Drishyardaya sa bhagavan svakritena tushyat. What's the right meter? Yo sa maya tatat drisha sa sabhayam. Shipto darukti vishikair viganaya tanman. Arvakpatantam arhatatma nidaya yapad. Drishyadraya sa bhagavan swakrite natushyat. Yo samaya shasapayam. Chipto darukti vishakair viganyaya tanmam. Arvakapatam Drishyatraya Bhagavan Swakrate Datushyat Yosau Mayadvati Tattva Drishya Svabhayam Jipto Durukti Vishakair Viganaya Tanmam Arvakapatam Tam Tatma Nitaya Prayapad Drishyatraya Bhagavan Trayatena Tushyat. Remember? Tam Tatma Nitaya Pa Drishyarthaya Bhagavan Swakrate Datushyat Usau Maya Driki Shapayam. Yaha Hu Asau that Maya by me Avidita Tattva without knowing the actual fact. Drisha by experience. Sabhayam in the assembly. Kshiptaha was abused. Durukti unkind words. Vishikai by the arrows of Viganaya taking no notice of. Tat that. Mam me. Arvak downwards. Patatam gliding down to hell. Arhat Tama the most respectable. Nindaya by defamation. Apat saved. Drishya seeing. Adraya out of compassion. Saha that. Bhagavan your lordship. Swakritena by your own mercy. Tushyet be satisfied. Report. No translation. I did not know your full glories for this reason. I threw arrows of sharp words at you in the open assembly, although you did not take them into account. I was going down to hell because of my disobedience to you, who are the most respectable personality, but you took compassion upon me and saved me by awarding punishment. I request that you be pleased by your own mercy, since I cannot satisfy you by my words. Purport. As usual, a devotee in an adverse condition of life accepts such condition to be the mercy of the Lord. factually, the insulting words used by Daksha against Lord Shiva were enough to have him thrown perpetually into a hellish life. But Lord Shiva, being kind toward him, awarded him punishment to neutralize the offense. King Daksha realized this and, feeling obliged for Lord Shiva's magnanimous behavior, wanted to show his gratitude. Sometimes a father punishes his child, and when the child is grown up and comes to his senses, he understands that the father's punishment was actually not punishment, but mercy. Similarly, Daksha appreciated that the punishment offered to him by Lord Shiva was a manifestation of Lord Shiva's mercy. That is the symptom of a person making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness. It is said that a devotee in Krishna consciousness never takes any miserable condition of life to be condemnation by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He accepts the miserable condition to be the grace of the Lord. He thinks, I would have been punished or put into a more dangerous condition of life due to my past misdeeds, but the Lord protected me. Thus, I've received only a little punishment as token execution of the law of karma, unquote. Thinking of his grace in that way, a devotee always surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead more and more seriously and is not disturbed by such so-called punishment. Easy to say, it's another thing to accept when it comes, when punishment comes, or after the punishment, and the feelings after the punishment. That, on an emotional level, it's not easy. On a spiritual level, one can manage one's emotions easily. But most people aren't on the spiritual platform. It's therefore, the emotions become everything. This is right and that's wrong, and this is what's to be done, that's not what's to be done. One's compass gets all mixed up. One can't see properly what shows Maya, the deluding potency, affects conditioned souls by bewildering the mind and strong identification with the mind. It happens, right? We all have friends, and we also all have a mind. So we're quite familiar with both. And, being a person who takes the position of giving guidance and shelter to others gets, multiple inputs from different minds and different entities who are struggling. I get a lot of that. One individual recently, in the past 2 weeks, they were flying in the sky, and then suddenly they crashed, and it was despair, and it was this and that, and it was like big transformation. So when someone's going through that roller coaster ride, it's natural to feel compassion for a poor person. And, to say to the poor person, my dear friend, Prabhu, you're going for a ride on the mind. No, it's hard to take that. It's not hard to give it, but it's hard to take it. So it's not necessarily the best response, although it's true. So because what's wanted is the person not identify with the mind, but it may take a while to get there. So here we are. This is Daksha, and he's realizing that the punishment was appropriate. Not besides, dharma, and because he was offensive, he got slapped. But he was freed from the reaction of that would have been the consequence of his offense. And the consequence of offense is very serious. It directly here in the purport, perpetual existence in hellish condition. So that's pretty extreme. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, perpetually I send them into demoniac species. If they're because everything has to do with the orientation of the living entity towards the supreme. So behind the consequences is the person who's issuing the consequences. So Krishna doesn't want that. And the representative of Krishna doesn't want that because Krishna doesn't want that. That was yesterday's class. Lord Shiva is the protector of all types of people, brahmanas included, and ordinary people included. So his anger was a manifestation of mercy, although in a worldly sense, it may look very different than mercy. He got insulted and he smacked him, disrupted the yajna and chopped his head and gave him a goat's head and anger. Was it necessary or was it appropriate? So here in this verse and the purport, it's mercy. It's not ordinary anger. Now, how do you tell the difference between the two? From the outside, it doesn't look too different. He got insulted and he reacted to the insult. He let him have it, the insulting person. So that thing goes on. Somebody speaks harshly and they get a reaction for speaking harshly, either from that person or others, or somehow something comes back for that harsh speech. Or to speak of vilification, not just harsh speech. Directly vilifying Lord Shiva, this and that and the other. Due to Daksha's attachment to his daughter. It's all on the bodily platform, Daksha. A not qualified brahmana, qualified enough to do mantras and yajnas, but not really qualified to do the mantras and the yajnas. So there was some effect because procedure was followed. That this is one of the teachings of bhakti. One who's following, it's not just by following procedures. They're doing the do's and avoiding the don'ts, and everything's fine. Not everything is fine. It doesn't mean neglect the do's and the don'ts, but that's not the essence. It helps align one to the essence. It's pleasing to the source of those do's and don'ts, to Krishna. So it's the submission unto Krishna that's the essence. And Daksha wasn't in that position, but Lord Shiva was in that position. As the best of all Vaishnavas, he was in that position always. So this fellow, my son-in-law, no, father-in-law, outrageous. So he got punished. So back to the purport, punishment can be just retribution, and punishment can be guided by scripture, something that's an exhibition of mercy. It depends on the consciousness behind it, not just the act. So it comes to the same thing. The internal feature of bhakti, the internal cultivation, along with the do's and the don'ts. One more time. It's not, the do's and the don'ts are irrelevant. They're relevant. One who is in the internal alignment with pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead is careful to know what is to be done, what is not to be done, what's in the category of offense, and what's the category of pleasing. And they select accordingly. So that's the external, but then there's the internal. And this kind of language is directly in the commentary of our acharyas. It's not concoction. It's directly, they speak this way also. And it's true. What's most pleasing is not the one who knows what's to be done and what's not to be done or to be avoided and does them. That's nice. But that's what's pleasing to the Supreme Person is the essence. That whatever is done or not done is with the right purpose, to please the source, to please the Supreme Person. That's the essence. So even in some section like this where Daksha has just got smashed, that the essence of bhakti is being presented. It's nice to note that what's in the verses by Vyasadeva or by the speaker Shukadev and the commentator Srila Prabhupada and the other acharyas. The essence is not, you don't have to search for it. It's very clear. And these circumstances can be quite extreme. This one's a very extreme circumstance. Don't mess with Lord Shiva. And if something comes from Lord Shiva that looks like punishment, thank him for punishment to save us from the consequences of not being punished. It can be severe. And the example, one more thing. In the purport, Prabhupada speaks of a child when a parent punishes the child, and the punishment can be severe. So let's not say that the parent that's just a wild man and just punishes and punishes and punishes wantonly because they get some sadistic pleasure from punishing. But rather just this principle that if in some circumstance there's a strong punishment, the child isn't going to necessarily right away understand, but maybe at a more mature stage they'll understand the kindness that was being exhibited by the loving parent. It's not easy being a parent in Kali Yuga. And, men and women continue getting married and having children and having the problematic situation come to them. It's problematic. At least, there's potential in the field of material energy in Kali Yuga where it's a dangerous place. How can you invite someone into a dangerous place? Not easy. Parenting is not easy. It's not, don't do it because it's not easy, but beware. So let's see if there's some discussion. The other microphone is way over there. Let's see if it works. Did you do anything between yesterday and today? No? Oh, so it's going to be the same thing. There's always a plan. Okay, so let's try. Who wants to be the first? Let's try and see if it works. Okay.
Guru Maharaj, I have two-part question. The first one, how Daksha showed his gratitude towards Shiva after making so much of offenses.
How does he show his gratitude?
Yeah.
It's the first part is thank you. And in principle, besides saying please and thank you, there's a behavior that goes along with those words. That's, do something that's meaningful to the person who you're saying please or thank you. An act that's pleasing to the other person, fulfills an interest of the other person. That's an important principle of life. But so if your question is what did he do? That's your question, besides saying thank you.
Yeah, I was thinking in the practical life also. Like
You're thinking what?
In our practical life, when we are receiving so much, how can one be grateful? I was just comparing, but you said it depends on the behavior. So that was kind of answered.
Well, he created a circumstance that was embarrassing and unpleasant. Because, before he had a beautiful form and now he's got a different form. It's embarrassing. Walking around with a goat's head, that's embarrassing. So, and he's saying thank you. So he has a Brahminical side, which, understands behind an event, there's a cause. And the cause has consequences. So I got this one instead of the other one. So anyway, that's what he's acknowledging. So I'm not sure if that answers. I'm not sure what your question is. Can you clarify what your question is?
I was saying in our practical life, how can one be grateful when we are receiving so much?
How can one be grateful when we're receiving so much? Well, it depends on your heart. Gratitude. When it's for an uncultured person doesn't feel anything, and a cultured person feels something. So how does one feel something? Become a cultured person. And what does that mean? Become a cultured person. From scripture, there's a number of places in scripture where it says a person who receives and is not grateful towards the person from whom one has received, they're condemned. So I don't want to be condemned. So that's one. I don't want to get spanked. So I'm gonna sit straight, behave nicely. But you can't generate gratitude out of fear. So it comes from a heart that has become softened or is soft to feel gratitude. It's acknowledging a kindness that's been extended with or without a cause. There's a kindness that's been extended. So one feels gratitude. So where does that gratitude come from? It's from the heart. It's a feeling. And it can be in the mind, and then there's a behavior that goes along with what the mind feels. But then in a deeper sense, is the soul acknowledging a kindness. So if I've understood correctly, you want to know, how does one get that gratitude? From where does that come? That's your question, yes? It's the heart and a relationship. You can say it's a need. We have a need. To love and be loved. All living entities, any species, to love and be loved. So in the human form of life, more evolved consciousness is still there. It's a need. And when something that's given out of love, and one has a need to love and be loved, something moves in the heart. That's where it comes from. On the spiritual platform, that's where it comes from. It's a basic need, that being touched, and so the heart moves. That's an explanation. Now then, there's the mind. Supposing one isn't on the spiritual platform, they're just on the material platform. Then behind that mind feeling gratitude is the soul feeling gratitude. They may not acknowledge it. It may just happen, as far as they're concerned, anyways, on the mind platform, some kindness. But it's the foundation of the material is spiritual. Anything else? Okay. Premananda? Okay, just leave it.
Not about just the do's and don'ts. It's about what we are doing.
Yes.
And in general, doing this physical body and mind, human being, tend to more or less think in terms of that way, because we
Yeah.
have a material
Natural.
body. And in the regular, no matter how you really think Krishna is my only child, I'm doing this only to please Krishna. If we have that in the center, everything else will fall in place.
Yes.
But even training with devotees don't always get to that.
Yeah.
Of the
Yeah.
physical body.
Yeah.
So I see the unity only in that, coming to that level of that approach. And until everybody comes to that level of thinking, there will always be the mind coming into the picture.
Yeah. Always.
So, in the case of Lord Shiva punishment was good for him. He realized this is good for me.
It's rare for someone to have that realization. That was the starting point of this topic.
When we get punished,
It's not that Daksha came to the platform of Shuddha Bhakti. That's not the statement. That's not the, what we're supposed to receive from this. He has Brahminical quality, and from that Brahminical quality, he could understand. Even it hurt, the embarrassment and so forth. Because of Brahminical status or stature, he could understand. It's mercy.
Could understand, but it's not like he has not evolved.
No.
So then that is probably something which is applicable to
Yeah. Yeah. Qualified. So the unqualified Brahmana became a qualified Brahmana. And that's Pashupati. That was yesterday's verse. He's the protector of religious principles, including through the medium of punishment, but whatever it takes. So, something else. Yes.
Maharaj, in the Bhagavatam, we see the devolution of Daksha's consciousness up to this point.
You see which devolution?
His,
Devolution, going down.
his offense is compounding and escalating as we follow him
Yeah,
through the
yeah,
pages of the
yeah,
Bhagavatam.
yeah.
And there's so many points prior to this where elevated devotees could have corrected him. But it seems that his heart, until it was, because the pride was so much, that he needed to be smashed to such a degree.
Yeah, I mean, supposing somebody in a kind, friendly manner tried to check him, it probably got yelled at because because pride is so strong. So if because no one said something, he didn't get checked. Doesn't mean if somebody had said something, he could have been checked. Pride is a feature of ignorance, and ignorance is very destructive. So he was really revved up to be a destructive personality, a force of destruction, although in a Brahminical profile. So,
Yes. So, for example, he curses Narada. That's one moment. So, for example, his interaction with Narada
yeah,
could potentially have been a moment in time when his consciousness could have been corrected in the assembly where Lord Brahma is there and he verbally insults Shiva. And so what I'm thinking is sometimes we have beans in our ears, like you say, and so it's not possible for us to really receive correction. And saintly persons have that discernment to know when our heart is open. And
certainly Narada has that capacity.
So it is incumbent upon us really to, sometimes when correction doesn't come, it may be that it's because our own heart is not oriented.
Yes. It can be many things.
Yes.
When to say something when somebody needs correction. That was a topic yesterday. When is it appropriate? How do you discern? When is it appropriate to say or not say? So it's purity is a foundation requirement. And then Super Soul giving a prompt according to that purity. And then there's no guarantee what the outcome is going to be either. Because the other person is going to make decisions. They are making, and they're going to make decisions. And, the modes of nature are strongly influencing most people. And that's one of the social interaction principles. Someone can say, what in this topic of respect, the Vaishnava etiquette theme of respect, sometimes people say blah, blah, blah about another person, and they'll say, what did I do wrong? I was just speaking the truth. When there's the behavior, and then there's what's behind the behavior. Is the speaking? Does someone have the purity and the position to say something, or not? So it gets subtle. Who's going to decide that one? So in social interactions, there's different rules at play and different things to consider. Each of us, and then what to speak of in an assembly of a social circle.
I was thinking, Maharaj, that it is incumbent upon us to expand our capacity to receive feedback and seek it.
Yeah, that's purity. It's incumbent upon us to become pure. And then with that purity comes, some capacities that aren't available to those that aren't pure. So in both cases, receiving and giving. We should all become pure devotees. Then it's very nice. And just in case we don't, then it gets messy. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I was thinking with this whole episode, it needed this level of punishment for Daksha to realize that he was at mistake.
Yes.
He was so envious of Lord Shiva. I mean, and when they approached Lord Brahma and the demigods, and when Brahma instructed them the option that they need to go to Lord Shiva and understand his position, the demigods at that time, they don't have any other option other than, because they were kind of Lord Shiva's associates were overpowered. Veerabhadra and before that, I mean, in the sacrificial arena. One thing I was thinking, they don't have any option other than surrender to Lord Shiva. Second thing, when Daksha got his goat head, it required big heart at his side as well to realize that it was a mercy, not a punishment. But I was just thinking, his heart get cleaned by this punishment because he was still, he was so envious. Is that the envy is gone? It's easy clean by, heart with the envy.
Is he what? The last part. Say the last part again.
Envy, free from envy. Free
What?
from envy.
Free from envy. Who? Daksha. He was like packed up with envy. Why are you saying free from envy? He by punishment, he checked into that option. But without the punishment, there's no brake pedal for his envy. Outrageous. He's saying, I had no understanding of your character, your quality, your credential. I had no understanding. Therefore, I said what I said and did what I did. But it's not, why didn't he? Because of envy, he didn't see. And that been chopped. by the punishment, and that the punishment didn't start with having a goat's head. That was like, an outcry, and so some arrangement was made by Lord Shiva to give him a goat's head, so at least he could, speak with a goat's head. But that wasn't part of the original punishment. It was a consequence of an outcry saying, do something so he can. So usually when you lose your head, literally, when the head is chopped, the person's dead. The whole situation is very unique. You want to add something to this?
From this verse, I was thinking he was able to understand it's a mercy of the Lord Shiva that he got the punishment.
Well, that was an outcome to understand the mercy of Lord Shiva and the qualification of Lord Shiva. And that was an outcome, both. Now, when Lord Shiva punished him, there's no certainty that Daksha would come to his senses, recognize, wow, I got mercy. When punishment is given by the state or by someone, some authority, a parent or a guru or something, it's not. They take Ramchandra Puri. He was punished, but he didn't get purification. He just continued with the same program. So there's no guarantee when punishment that's due is going to result in the person recognizing, I got this punishment for purification. Thank you. No guarantee. Well, Daksha was able to understand, yes, but not everyone's going to be able to understand. Even apparently qualified persons. No guarantee. Doesn't mean don't do, but that one has to have purity, have the right capacity to discern what's to be done, what's not to be done in different circumstances. Not easy. Someone back there? You have a question? No. Okay. Yeah.
I'm working hard to phrase it properly, but essentially I'm coming to the question how to handle the mix in my approach in sharing Krishna consciousness. Example is, you're saying people want love and loved.
Yeah, it's a need.
And they come to me and then, which they should go to their shelters, and I will not be able to do anything. Then they throw, I'm getting rocks on me. So I'm finding myself, I brought myself to this situation.
You found yourself what?
I brought myself to this situation because of the mix in my.
What are you going to do? If you're mixed, you're mixed. You hit the pause button and look to. There's deficiency. Now, what can I do rather than lamenting over the deficiency? What can I do to move in the direction that I want to move in? It will make me less deficient, or make me more an instrument of Krishna. And you as far as you can discern and hear and understand, you do those things. And that's all of us. Back here, you want to come get the microphone? This is our last question.
Thank you, Maharaj. I was trying to better understand the perpetual punishment part and wondering if that's like more to emphasize the gravity of Vaishnava offense or literally does that mean perpetual punishment? Also, I have the same question.
Let me repeat what your first question is.
Sure.
There's a statement, he understood that the offense was sufficient that he would exist perpetually in a hellish condition. So your question is there such a thing? Perpetual hellish condition? Is there such a thing? That's your question, right?
Right, mainly in reference to the Bhagavad Gita section that you quoted, where Krishna also says that I perpetually cause them into.
But that's, if one maintains, so it's not a necessity. But if one maintains an inimical attitude, then there's a consequence. Birth after birth, perpetual. Okay?
I was trying to differentiate it also from like the Christian perspective of eternal suffering in hell, like what they say that at the end of life, you're either eternal salvation or eternal suffering. So one argument against that had always been, when I was preached to in the beginning, that the soul always has the free will to choose to obey or.
Yeah, but let's do this. Of the two options, it's eternal. The other is not eternal. It's not eternal. Ashashvatam. It's temporary. Limited and temporary. Yes, suffering. Dukkha, but not eternal. So being in the material world is not an eternal position. Being anywhere, up or down, is not eternal. However, back to this point, you making choices, if that choice continues being with that consequence, then one can. Then there's annihilation, and then there's creation again after annihilation. And where does one go? Depending upon the orientation of the mind, that's where one goes. I can conceptually or theoretically consistently maintain the position of offensive. And Krishna doesn't interfere. That's my choice. I don't recommend it, but that's your choice. Okay.
So it's not,
that's your question?
right. So it's not so much that Krishna is casting perpetually.
That's right. Free will.
Thank
you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.